The Sports Club Villa, who this week parted ways with their coach Petros Koukouras. The communication came in late in the night. I think it was around 10:30 on Thursday. That statement indicating that the club had amicably decided to part ways with Petros Koukouras, and Jackson Magira was put in temporary charge of the record league champions. Like I said, after hearing the side of Villa, although they didn't give more details, we now want to talk to the man himself. And coach, thank you very much for joining us on the show. First of all, how is Greece? Did you miss home?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here. Yeah, Greece is nice. It's summertime. The weather is very similar with Uganda, so I have no problems to adapt.
Okay. Well, getting into the discussion, first of all, did this come as a surprise to you, or there had been signs of it coming?
Well, in the last discussions we had with the directors, I thought that I'm going to continue for the next season. Throughout the year, they told me that we just have to survive relegation, and then they're going to give me enough time to build the squad for the next season. But after the season was over, I had some signs that, I don't know how to say it, maybe they were trying to frustrate me in ways that I'm going to leave, but there was nothing straightforward until a few days ago.
Okay. When you say there were signs that they were trying to frustrate you, what exactly was being done?
You know, it's some small daily things like they bring people in without me knowing anything about it. They organize these trials, and I just find out one day before they start. You know, there were small things that I used to have absolute control, but towards the end, it seemed like things have changed without me knowing.
Okay. Now, Coach, if I may take you back to your start at Sports Club Villa, you started work at a time when, I mean, there was a lot of uncertainty regarding club ownership and everything, then player ownership. Did this kind of environment that you were working in shock you?
Not really. You know, I had an idea of the situation, and we have all agreed that we know that it's going to be a tough season, but we were preparing for the next one. So we were all very well prepared to handle all that pressure and all that situation. And you know, it was not a big surprise. I didn't know the whole scale of the problem, but I had an idea.
Okay. And then, of course, you started the season and the club was not on the fixtures for the Uganda Premier League. I mean, as a coach at a new club, that must have been weird.
You see, that was a big surprise. As you know, we started the pre-season very late. We only had like 3 weeks of pre-season, which did not allow us to work properly on the fitness of the players or in tactical aspects. And then a couple of days before the first game, they told us that the club has no license and we are not going to play this game. But they reassured us that we are going to play the next game. So the next week we were preparing for the next game. We couldn't continue our pre-season. And then again, one day before the match, they told us, no, you are not going to play this one either. So, you know, if they were at least straightforward from the beginning, we could have continued our pre-season and cover things that we didn't do during the normal pre-season time. But we couldn't do that. We couldn't find friendly matches to keep the players fit and get them into match fitness. And it was very tough. You know, it's something that has never happened to me before. And I think even some coaches that they are way more experienced than me, they have never experienced something like that.
Okay. And then, of course, the club spent a bigger part of the season fighting relegation. Was this down to how you started the season, or there were other factors along the way?
You see, across the season, we had quite a few issues. Of course, when a club cannot have a proper pre-season, that will affect the performance of the team in long term. It affected us with injuries. It affected us with the fitness in the first part of the league. Then, as you all know, we had issues during January, we couldn't register players. We had players like Bakaki, Agele, Segawa, Giga, that they were not registered at the beginning of the season. And yet we didn't manage to give them a license until the second week of February. So we let the whole January pass without licensing these players, although they have been training with the team for a long, long time. As you all know, we had some organization problems in the team. We had the bus accident that really affected the players mentally, and of course, it affected their performance. So it was a season full of small issues. You know, every time we were trying to sort things out, something was happening, and it was disorganizing the whole team.
Okay.
Coach Petros, good evening.
Good evening.
My understanding before we secured this appointment with you is that you actually expected to still be in Kampala this week and perhaps travel towards the end of the week. And it turns out your ticket was hastily arranged and booked, and you were almost smuggled out of the country to avoid interviews like this. So tell me, what's the story behind that? Are you still supposed to be in the country, at least up to the end of the week, or you left the country against your will?
No, I had to come back to Greece to renew my coaching license, because, you know, every 3 years we have to do these refreshment courses. But my understanding was that I will come back to Kampala like 2 weeks later to start the pre-season. So it was just a couple of days before I leave that I got the information that I'm not going to be part of the team in the next season. And that was the biggest surprise.
And coach, did you ever meet the club president in your time at Villa? And if you did, what conversation did you have with him?
I was meeting him regularly, although he's a very busy man. I was meeting him 2 to 3 times a week. We had normal conversations. He was quite happy with my work. And until recently, we had no signs that things will take that way.
And Ismail, coach, I chose to wear a blue tie tonight in solidarity with you. Because you've been working under very, very difficult conditions. I would imagine you have players, most of them very young, coming out of the under-20 team, some of them playing in their first season in the top flight. Then the season started the way it did, and then eventually couldn't recover from it. Here you were coaching Uganda's most successful side in the league, and you spent the entire season fighting relegation. Were you even able to find time and impart your style? I cannot even claim that for the months I've watched you coach Villa, I can clearly point out that this is what you exactly want to do. You've claimed that you wanted to play some very good passing football, and that's the reason why I'm told you asked the club to find a pitch that was that had a fair ground, and the club ended up in Njeru without their fans. Because was it entirely down to you to drag the club there first, to drag the club to Njeru because they had to find a pitch, and then fitting in all these young players in a very short spell of time? You start the season, then probably you had planned to work with Ismail Dhakaba, and then that injury is discovered and he has to travel for surgery and misses the entire season. Can you just point out on those things, on the young players, and then you taking Villa away from its fans to Njeru?
Well, first of all, it was not my decision. I don't take decisions like that. I didn't take Villa away from the fans.
Yeah.
If you see the day of the unveiling, they also announced that the team is going to play at Njeru. So when they told me we're going to play at Njeru, I did not know how far it is from Kampala. I have just arrived in the country. So I had no idea how far it is, if there is fan base at Njeru or anything like that. So